I've loved that story of the cracked water pot for a long time. I'm wondering, has anyone heard that story before? Raise your hand if you've heard it. A couple. So for many of you, it's the first time of hearing it. I love it because of the mentality of the water bearer, a person who did not see the brokenness of the pot as something to be ashamed of, but a unique flaw. They gave that pot a special purpose and opportunity to slowly and steadily and efficiently water all the wildflowers along their side of the path. When I was reading the scripture for this week, I liked to imagine that perhaps those two disciples on their walk to Emmaus were walking down that same path with the wildflowers on one side as they processed all that had happened in Jerusalem. There is so much within this small text for today. First of all, we hear about two disciples that we don't hear about anywhere else in all of the Gospels. This is the only place that we learn of Cleopas, and the other disciple remains nameless. There is no mention of gender of these two disciples, but historically it's been understood as two men. These were not two of the 12, the ones that were commissioned as the disciples in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, but they were two that knew everything that had happened. This story is also found in the Gospel according to Mark, but there it's very, very short. It's only 2 sentences long. In Mark's version, we learn that after this, he appeared in another form to 2 of them as they were walking into the country. And they went back and told the rest, but they did not believe them. In our Luke story for today, we learn much more about what happened on that road. I love verse 22. That verse says, "Some women of our group have just brought us astonishing news." Some women of our group. So even in this patriarchal culture of Jesus' time, he was one who managed to foster a group of servant leaders that welcomed all, including women, to join the inner circle. These 2 disciples claimed the women as part of their posse, some women of our group. Then there's that part about how everyone in Jerusalem was aware of what had happened to Jesus. Cleopas asked him, not knowing who he was, "Are you the only one visiting Jerusalem who doesn't know the things that have happened in the past few days?" Think about that. There was no social media, no trending Twitter hashtags, no neatly delivered newspaper at every doorstep, no 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock news. And yet every person knew. Everyone was aware. This was no small government happening on the sidelines where only a handful of people showed up to carry signs for an obscure rally or march. This was a major event. The disciples were floored that someone could have been in the town and not known what had just transpired. They continued to recount the story to this stranger on the road. This brings us to their words in verse 21. The 2 lament to Jesus, "We were hoping. We were hoping that he was the one who would set Israel free." Were, as in past tense. They weren't hoping any longer. Their hope had passed on by. Can you relate to that? Have you hoped desperately for something, but then had your hopes dashed against the rocks of reality? It's time to move on down the road. Show's over. Maybe you're lucky enough to find a companion to process your emotions and thoughts with, just as the 2 did on that walk to Emmaus. Processing is helpful. In modern day times, I wonder if this story would have been set on a 7-hour plane trip, or perhaps on a cross-country car ride conversation. We were hoping, they told Jesus. We were hoping that he was the one who would set us free. I've heard that phrase, "we were hoping," several times this week. And talking to the family of Carol Tucker, a church member of Church of the Open Arms, who I did a service for this week. She passed away last Sunday. We were hoping that she would have more time with us, they said. Unfortunately, she passed very quickly, and our time with her was short. I heard the phrase from many who visited the Capitol this week, and from those who called their legislators in aims of attempting to prevent House Bill 1913 from becoming law, a bill about payday loan companies that prey on the poor through exorbitant interest rates. We were hoping to prevent the bill from passing through the Senate, but unfortunately it did pass, and now will go on to the governor's desk for her signature unless we can convince her to veto the bill. I heard that phrase, "we were hoping," from my dear United Methodist colleagues who prayerfully awaited a decision from the Judicial Council this Friday. That's the equivalent of their Supreme Court, regarding the legitimacy of Bishop Karen Olivetto's leadership, given the fact that she's an out member of the LGBT community. And their book of discipline states that homosexuality is incompatible with Christian teaching. We were hoping that the highest court of our church would bend the arch of our denomination toward justice, equality, and welcome for all. Unfortunately, that was not the decision the Judicial Council made. And now many await further trials and decisions to see the fate of their beloved church tribe that they grew up with. What we had hoped for has not turned out the way we imagined it, the way we prayed for it to happen, the way we needed and worked for it to occur. When our hopes are diminished, we gather with beloveds at the graveside during a funeral, or online to lament the passing of horrendous legislation, or at prayer vigils and in sanctuaries in order to create as many safe and welcoming spaces as is possible. The disciples share that the thing they had been hoping for someone to set Israel free, did not come to pass. And not only that, but the body of their teacher was now missing from the tomb. Jesus listens to their lament and offers an alternative explanation, a different point of view. One that does not end with the candle of hope blown out, but a real world story in which anyone known as a Messiah, as one who works to save others, must go through the hard knocks of life before they have the wisdom and courage and experience and power to make a difference in the lives of those around them. And sometimes they even have to go through death before they can enter into glory, as Jesus puts it. The text says that Jesus appeared to be going further on down the road. I wonder where he was going to go, who he was going to visit next. The two disciples extend hospitality to him. This is the most compassionate thing you can do to someone in the ancient world, to a stranger. Welcome them into your home, provide for their needs, offer your company. So the Savior went in and stayed with them. After sitting down to eat, Jesus took bread, said the blessing, then broke it and began to distribute it to them. Every one of us does things in a certain way that is unique and individual to who we are. Human beings are creatures of habit and pattern. One of us gives the best tight hugs and almost lifts you off the floor every time they hug you. Another one can't show up to an event without a dish to pass in hand. Someone else won't pass you by without whistling a tune. Jesus also had a familiar habit and pattern as well. Something he was known for. something he always did no matter who he was with or where he found himself. He pronounced blessing over ordinary items, broke perfectly beautiful meals in half, and offered what he had to those around him. Their eyes were opened and they recognized Jesus. Who could have guessed that the distinguishing characteristic of God's own child would be that he shared what had been broken in ways that would nourish others? The water bearer said to the pot, "I knew about your flaw. I planted flower seeds on your side of the path, and every day you watered them for me. For years I've been able to decorate my master's table. If you were not just the way you are, we would not have this beauty, which is a result of the crack in your pot." We might have hoped for perfect endings to the stories in our own lives, for a full portion of water delivered after a long walk from the stream, for a Savior in the way we had imagined someone would set the people free, for unending health with loved ones, for government legislation that has the poor's best interest at heart, or for church bodies who put God's love over and above human-made laws. But Jesus shows up in his oh-so-familiar way and breaks everything wide open. The story's not over. There's still more bread to share, more ways to set the people free, more goodness and beauty to come. More goodness and beauty to come from what we first thought were our brokenness and our flaws. So may we stop to appreciate the flowers on our own walk to Emmaus, and let us give thanks for the crack in our own water pot. May it be so.